Good morning. This is Ronna Romney McDaniel, and you're listening to Michigan's biggest show, starring Michael, Patrick, Shiels, all across Michigan.
She is the Republican National Committee Chair. We're going to talk to the former state chair, Saul Anuzis, here. SaulsNews.com is where you can find him, and you can't find him in Michigan anymore because he's moved out to the Washington, D.C. area. We'll find out about that in just a minute. DTE Natural Gas is more than just an energy source. It's part of your life. That's why DTE works around the clock to keep it safe and affordable. Better call Saul. He's on our line right now. Saul Anuzis, welcome back to the program.
Hey, great to be with you, Michael Patrick.
Looked a little bittersweet for you to pull away from Locust Lane there and head east. Was it emotional?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we spent 35 years there, raised our family there, had a great time, enjoyed mid-Michigan. You know, I grew up in the city of Detroit, but we moved out there when I got my first job in the state legislature. So, and then ended up spending 35 years there. Great place to live and raise a family.
Well, but you're very popular around here, and you're living in the swamp area now, huh?
Well, we're gonna at least temporarily find someplace in D.C. Right now, I'm living in a hotel until we find a place to rent, and then we'll look around, see if we want to buy or if we survive here or go back to Michigan. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Very fluid then. And living in a hotel's no problem for you. You spend about 300 nights a year in one, don't you?
Close to it. When there wasn't a COVID crisis, we were, I was averaging over 250 nights a year in a hotel. But right now, we'll see what happens here, and we're apartment shopping as we speak. So,
okay. Kanye West says he's running for president. Publicity stunt, or could he actually do that?
Well, he could actually do that. I think it would be very interesting. Look, he wants to make a point. I think he wants to address some of the issues that are of concern, particularly in the African American community. So, if he's serious and if he goes out there and gets his name on the ballot, he could be a factor in the race. I don't think he has necessarily a chance of winning as a third-party candidate, as we've seen in this country, but he could definitely be a player and a factor and affect the debate as well as results.
From where would he pull votes, I wonder?
Well, primarily, from the Democrats at this stage of the game, I would think, because you've got a overwhelming majority of African Americans tend to support Democrats for all the wrong reasons, in my opinion, but that is a fact. But at the same time, he, has been very popular with president supporters amongst the African American community, so he could pull votes from him as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag in that regard.
Interesting. And we hear Joe Biden now, Vanity Fair is talking about his restore decency mantra, echoing a Republican, George W. Bush.
Yeah, look, Biden has the advantage of just hiding out and then saying giving a few sound bites and then hiding again. So we really don't know what he's talking about or what he means. This is a guy who spent 50 years in Washington and wasn't able to accomplish much, and now is asking for 4 more as president of the United States. It's not a very strong campaign slogan from my perspective.
Speaking of campaigns, I read yesterday that the Supreme Court rules presidential electors must back their state's popular vote winner, not a national popular vote winner like the compact that has been developed and is in development right now to sort of secure a national popular vote. Your reaction?
Well, that's not accurate. What the Supreme Court said is that the states have to abide by their state law, and 48 states currently have state law saying that it is, you use a popular vote based on whoever wins plurality of the votes in 48 states, and then those states that use a congressional district plan use a district plan. So it never mentioned what the national popular vote is or isn't. In fact, from a national popular vote perspective, it was pretty good because it basically said that Article 2, Section 1 gives the states far-reaching authority to determine how electors are chosen, which is what a state compact would do with regards to a national popular vote. It also brought in the fact that even the 2 justices who kind of did their own authority basically said, look, the Constitution is silent on how and how these electors should act. Therefore, the states have the right to do that, and they used actually the 10th Amendment as the argument to doing it. So you basically had a unanimous decision saying the states have the right to determine how their electors are chosen. And the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is doing exactly that. It is asking the states to make that decision as how the compact is chosen. So in our opinion, I mean, even though this had no direct effect to the national popular vote, this confirms and solidifies our position that the states have the right to determine how their electors are chosen. And if they determine they should be chosen by a national popular vote, that it would be constitutional, at least under this court, by a 9-0 margin.
Would you mind doing just a thumbnail sketch of how it works? Because there are people listening right now who say, national popular vote, that means we just total them all up, and whoever gets all the votes wins. And that's not exactly what you're doing.
That's right. So there's two proposals out there. One, there is a constitutional amendment that a lot of Democrats are pushing to basically do exactly what you said, which is to create a national popular vote, eliminate states' rights with regards to running elections, and then you basically add up all the votes nationwide and cast them. And I don't know a single Republican that's backing that proposal. The alternative proposal is an interstate compact, which is an agreement between the states that says when enough states that have 270 electoral votes or more enter into this compact, then it takes effect. And what they do is they agree to cast their votes on behalf of the candidate that basically wins the national popular vote. Now, the reason that's a very important distinction is that it keeps the elections at the state level. It keeps control at the state Secretary of States in every state. It makes sure that every voter in every state is politically relevant every single time. And it basically is kind of the quintessential federalist approach. What you're basically doing is saying your state has the right to determine whether or not you participate in the presidential election. Because today, 4 out of 5 Americans live in a decidedly either Republican state or Democrat state. So basically 95 to 98% of all resources in presidential campaigns are spent in 10 states or less. So what happens is we elect the president of the battleground states of America versus the president of the United States of America. And what our interstate compact would do, which is different than a constitutional amendment, it would keep the elections run by the states, keep control in the states, let the states have the right to change it again if they want. But it basically says now, since so many states are no longer competitive, we're going to make sure that every voter in every state is politically relevant in every election, and we'll use the national popular vote in order to do that, but we still retain the states' rights to change it if they want to in the future.
It's highly hypothetical and maybe irrelevant, but could you forecast what would happen in this election under the compact?
Well, I think Donald Trump wins. I think that the president is very popular. I think that, as he has said in the past, he wished he would have had a popular vote because he would have campaigned differently and he would have won across the nation. Remember, Donald Trump never campaigned in New York. He didn't campaign in California. He didn't campaign in Texas. So some of the largest states in the country are completely ignored, whether they're Republican or Democrat, as are 40 other states. So I think that Donald Trump is more popular than people think he is. I think there is a silent majority that is getting upset with all these crazy rioters and looters out there. I think there are some legitimate complaints that people have, and we should address the system. And you know, as our Constitution so eloquently put, we are looking for that perfect union that hasn't yet happened. But that does not, excuse the craziness that's happened. And therefore, I think the president is very popular, and I think he would win a popular vote.
And that's not to say that next time around in this National Popular Vote Compact wouldn't yield a different winner, because your vote will actually count in places like Texas and California and New York, which have previously been written off. We'll never write off Saul Anuzis. Thank you, sir.